Hello and welcome to the Pandaverse. This is the C&E show. I'm Elgon, the E in C&E.
I'm Christine.
And
I'm the C in the E and C show.
E and C,
I'm Jim
C&E.
Price, and I'm no way related to Elgon. We just happen to look beautiful.
We're the Beard Brothers.
That's it.
Oh, I love it. This show just brings a smile on my face. I mean, we got the Beard Brothers on today.
There you go.
So today we're going to talk about some really interesting things. So one of the things I am a big fan of is, mythological creatures. I write about them. I write about the truth behind some of the legends that there are. As many of you know, my book series takes place in Wisconsin, and there's a lot of eerie, dark tales in the forest there. So I decided to base my book around that. Well, James and I happen to know each other, and he loves the same things that I do. So I thought we would bring him on the show, and we would talk about just the different legends we've heard, the things we've seen, our different experiences. So, James, let's talk about the Ohio Grass Man.
The Ohio Grass Man. I have never been down there, and someday I'm going to take my little hippie van down there and go camping. But I do know somebody that was down there locally from Monroeville, Ohio. And he said that he took his children camping at the state park, and he seen something large and brown. And he didn't know exactly what it was. So, but that's all he left it at. So, but I do know some people that have, I guess you'd call full frontal, full back, full vocalizations, all kinds of stuff.
Now, do you believe in Sasquatch and Bigfoot?
Absolutely.
I also do. I do as well. I believe that there are too many people in the world that have the same story for it to not be true. Elgon, what do you think?
I'm more skeptical, I think, but what I will say is people who live in cities, big cities, and never get outside the city don't realize how freaking big the rest of the world is. And there's more than enough room for things to hide that we don't know about.
Right.
There's areas where people don't go. They're up in mountains, the forests, especially up, toward Canada, the northern United States, northern Idaho. You get into some of the areas where they have forest reserves and state parks, and you could take a hike up through there and you won't see another person.
Right. And you may never be seen from either ever again.
That's true, especially if Sasquatch is chasing you.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of places, you think that there's 350, 360 million people in the United States. You get the feeling, especially living in a city, that you can't really go anywhere without being seen.
Right.
And
right.
That's just not the case.
You get
way out in the country, and there's a whole lot of nothing.
That's for sure. I'm from Pennsylvania, and it was nothing out there but nothing. So I was kind of raised there. There is some sightings that were in Lorraine. If you check out the BFRO, if I'm allowed to, or permitted to even mention anybody.
Yeah.
And there was one sighted in Lorraine, and I happened to have a fellow that I worked with that happened to see this thing up in a tree, and he said it looked like a great big monkey, but it wasn't. He said, I don't know what it was, but it was on the outskirts of Lorraine. So.
Well, that's good to know, seeing how I'm in Vermilion. Let's just hope it doesn't walk this way.
Now, Monroeville, I've had over the years several sightings in Monroeville, Ohio.
Really? See, that's where I'm from.
Yeah. See, they follow that river. One of the characters is Orange Eyes, which I have a theory on that also. I won't bore you with it, but
no. What's your theory?
My theory
from.
orange eyes aren't as natural as the natural Bigfoot. I don't think we're all seeing. I wonder if, like, do you have your natural raised in the world Bigfoot, and you have your kind of genetically produced
Okay.
Bigfoot
Right.
or cryptoids? That's my opinion. And in Monroeville, for years and years, even as a child, it was always orange eyes down there was a legend. And that's where I've seen my prints in Monroeville, by the river and by the graveyards that they seem to particular to out there. Yeah, to me, yeah.
Well, James, I think you and I need to do, like, we need to go do an overnight in a cemetery in Monroeville.
My friend lives right on that river in Monroeville.
Really?
And he said, anytime that I want to go camping down there, I can go camping. He's a very good friend of mine.
Oh, my.
Who is not a believer or has never really seen anything. But yeah, I had it on YouTube. And of course, it mysteriously disappears sometimes when you put things on YouTube.
Yeah, that seems to happen a lot, I think.
I do too.
Now, see, in Monroeville, I've witnessed, I would say, unexplained flying objects in the sky. You know, it's all farm country out there. So when you're walking down those country roads at night, all you have is the big open sky. And one night, as I was walking, I saw this really bright light, and I thought at first maybe it was a plane, but it was moving. It was like jetting across the sky, and then it stopped. And all of a sudden, out of the four corners, little planes shot out, and they all started flying around the sky. I was just like in awe, but I was also terrified. I was like, please don't take me.
It's a beautiful terrification. I've seen over my years, I've seen three things I can't explain, and with many witnesses in attendance. So, campground.
What have you seen?
My first, I'll say, not paranormal. I'm kind of an empath, and at times I'm kind of sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
And I see things and I hear things. But one of my first UFO sightings, I was a child in Pennsylvania, and I was riding a bicycle. We were poor. We were so poor. But somebody gave us a bicycle. So I was riding it around the property, which is out. I'm telling you, it is 20 miles to a grocery store. That's how far out in the sticks we live.
Wow.
I had no running water. We didn't have any gas heat. We had all coal and wood heat. But it was awesome. It was awesome the way to grow up there. But I seen this great big ball of fire that was turning green and blue and red and orange, just one big mass of different changing colors. And it was going over the treetop of what that we used to call as I called when I was out there, and they still do, the pipeline. And that is a piece of area up and down the mountains and hills that they would keep mowed and keep the trees out of. So if they had if they had to bury a pipeline, or there was a leak, or from a gas well or something, that they would keep that trimmed up a bit. But it followed that like it was a runway path. And so I seen it. I hollered for my mom because I sure didn't know what it was. And she seen it. My neighbors down the road, they live probably a couple miles down the road, mile, somewhere around there. They came over to our house because that seemed to be the entrance way. It was across the street from our house for this thing to follow. And years later, I was laying on my couch, married man, watching, I think it was Unsolved Mysteries, and they were talking about Kecksburg, the UFO of Kecksburg, which was about that time, which followed that path, which did this all kinds of weird stuff. I can't say it is. I can't say it isn't. So, and the second time was a small red orb, a little smaller than a basketball, was feeding off a transformer across the street from where buddies and myself were playing guitar. So we're out there just jamming, a bunch of old hippies, having fun. And this has been 15, 20 years ago. And I look across the street because once again, I'm kind of drawn to things like this.
Right.
And I see this red orb and it's see-through, and it's kind of hovering around this transformer on a pole, just a wooden pole 20 foot off the ground or so. And I said to the other guys, I said, hey, look, what the heck is that? I'm watching it. And they said, wow, that's cool. And it was like they were told to forget about this, move on, don't look, this doesn't concern you, move on. I still kept looking because I'm saying, don't you get it? That ain't right. That ain't natural. And the other one was at a Shelby Mansfield KOA campground. Full.
I've been there.
People.
I know exactly where that's at. Yeah.
Yes, this fireball came straight out of the sky, flew, I don't know, maybe 100, 200 foot in the air, made a right-hand corner, a large fireball, and was gone.
Wow.
And everybody that was there seen it. But nobody seemed to say, what the heck was that? It's like you're told, just disregard. It's none of your business. But
right.
Some of us maintain.
So why do you think that cryptoids and, like spirits and things, what are your thoughts on why they evade us? Why don't they want us to know?
I think because we screw up everything we touch, and humanity does. And if you're a spirit, you have better knowledge than we do of how much garbage we carry and how much garbage we put out. And I honestly think they don't want to because they're A, above us, and B, they just don't want to mess with us because it's like the aliens. My feeling is they're like a hive mentality, like ants or bees. We're not. We're like the danger. We go off on a tangent, and we're not controlled like that.
Right. Yeah.
It's not our thing.
And we don't get along well with each other.
We don't. We don't get along with our own race, let alone somebody else.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that, there are people that they make exceptions, like empaths, like I am. And I think that's why we see them maybe more so. I think we are on the same frequency level, and we can
first
feel
time
that.
I've seen you. Yeah, I just know that, and I knew you were just by talking to you the first couple words. I said, you can feel it.
You can
feel it.
Yes. I agree. Yeah. Yes. Elgon, have you seen any really cool things? You lived in Ohio.
I've seen things that I didn't understand. Yeah. But my mom and I were out driving in foggy weather. We were coming back. We lived in outside of South Charleston, out in the country, and we were driving down Selma Road. It was close to the high school I went to. It was so foggy that we were like crawling along at like 15 miles per hour, so we couldn't see anything. My mom had her low beams on because the high beams were reflecting too bad. We were following what we thought was another car, and we get to probably about a mile or so. We followed this, and it stopped. So my mom stopped, and she didn't feel like passing it, going around it, because she couldn't see what was coming, So she sits there for a while, and this thing doesn't move. So finally, she decides to pull out and go around. So she turns on her turn signal and goes around, and we get up where we should be even with the thing. We look over, and there's nothing there.
Amazing.
And we got out and looked around because we thought maybe somebody had ran into the ditch. So we didn't know what it was. Another time I was driving home, also on Selma Road, but it was south of Selma. And there's a road that I had to turn on there, London Senior Road. I had to turn on that road to get to my house. And I come up, and there's a empty field right across the intersection there. I turn left, and my headlights go across something that's sitting on the ground, low to the ground, and they reflect off of it. And there's nothing there. There's not building or anything because I drive that thing every day, and I didn't know what it was. So, I stopped, and my first impression was that somebody had it was like a tanker truck or something because it was cylindrical and it was elongated. I thought maybe somebody had parked a truck out there, or maybe a truck had gone off the road. So I get out of my car, stop the car and get out, and there's nothing there.
Hmm.
So, I've seen things that I don't understand.
Yeah, I think it's really amazing, all the, the sightings. And I feel like hundreds of thousands of people can't be wrong. You have them declassifying, information, saying they don't know what it is. And I'm excited to see what the future brings.
Yeah, there's got to be a bubble that's going to bust pretty soon.
I feel like there is.
Yes, and I think it's very close also.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
I just feel like there's something coming. Something.
Yes.
Well, the government's had a habit of lying to us for as long as I've been alive. You can only believe about maybe half of what they tell you, and there's always a reason for what they tell you.
Right.
Exactly. And a lot of times it's what somebody tells them to tell us.
Exactly.
That's the part that gets me. And maybe they're a little bit more nefarious than we are, or even the spokesperson talking. It's like, well, I can't tell them. Well, look what happened to Kennedy. So you gotta.
Well, as far as being an author, Christine and I have pretty warped imaginations anyway. So anything like that just makes our minds,
automatically
fertile ground for our minds to take off, and we'll build a story around something, strange idea that we had.
Right.
Maybe rooted in something, we just had an impression when we were out. Like I get up early in the morning and go walk around the neighborhood, and it's still dark. There's nothing. There's nobody out until the sun comes up. I'm like the only one out walking around, and I have a lot of time to think about things, and plots go through my head that way. And in fact, when I walk up on somebody that's walking, I'm not expecting to see anybody. There'll be some people out walking their dogs, and it kind of scares me a little bit, when I see somebody moving. So your imagination runs wild with you.
Right.
Well, as long as they're not in black suits, you're probably okay.
With a pen that flashes in
Well,
your
if they were in black suits, I might not see them, because some of the areas that I walk through are really dark.
I see.
I live in the northwestern. I live in the northwestern side of Las Vegas, but
I see.
And there's a lot of people live out here, but this is one of the areas that's still developing. So there's areas that have a lot of empty lots and no street lights.
Elgon, you're gonna get abducted.
Just make sure you film it.
I got Area 51 up the road, right?
Right, exactly. Oh, well, James, it's been such a pleasure having you here today. I'm so glad that you jumped on, and you're gonna have to join us again, because we have to talk about so much more. We have to talk about the space station, the rumor of the space station up there, and we need to talk about fairies, and we need to talk about evil things. We have all kinds of stuff we have to talk about still.
We've got to at least talk about my daughter's haunted house.
Oh, yes.
The hollow moon theory.
Yeah.
My new favorite.
We should plan a Halloween show.
That would be cool.
That would be really cool. I sure will.
All right, very nice meeting you, Elgon.
That was nice meeting you,
thank you.
He's the only Elgon.
I will see you soon, Christine. As soon as I build up my cash, I got a little bass amp I got in mind. So.
Oh, nice.
All right.
All right, everybody.
Very nice. Thank you for having me.
James.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.